Hello dear community, a warm welcome to this new video for your perfect lawn. Today we're not focusing on the 2.0 itself, but rather on its add-on modules, specifically the practical off-limits module. First of all, in my opinion, this is definitely a very good add-on module for the Landroid 2.0, especially for those who have many small plants, bushes, or other objects on the lawn that the Landroid needs to navigate around. With the off-limits module, the Landroid will no longer drive into flower beds or similar areas, but will make a nice arc around them. But how do I connect this off-limits module to my Landroid, and how does it work in general? We'll explore this exact question in today's video. So I'd say let's start right after the intro. However, if you haven't done so already, definitely subscribe to the channel now and activate the bell so you don't miss any videos. You can find the current prices of both the Landroid and the add-on module in the video description below. Thank you very much for your support, and let's get started. Yes, the Worx Landroid 2.0 is already quite smart, or intelligent you could say, but with the add-on modules, such as the off-limits module in this case, it gets even better. With this module, the Landroid knows exactly where it should not go or where it needs to make an arc without me having to lay down the boundary wire there. How the module actually works, we'll see in practice later on. First, let's start with what's included in the package. So here it is, the off-limits module for the Landroid 2.0, specifically designed for the new version. It's important to mention that the module has slightly changed in shape, so it no longer fits the old Landroid, but is only compatible with the new version. We've already extensively tested and introduced the new Landroid 2.0 as well. If you haven't watched the video yet, be sure to check it out. I'll link it for you up here on the info card. On the side of the box, you can also see which robotic mowers this module is truly compatible with. But now, let's finally move on to the contents of the package and see what's included. At the very top, we find the instruction manual for the add-on module, nicely illustrated on how it's actually installed. Below that, there's a small guide with safety instructions. The interesting part, however, is located below, and that's the actual add-on module. Firstly, at the top, we have the typical ground stakes that we know from the boundary wire. A total of 24 pieces are included. Then, in the upper corner, we have the actual off-limits module. This is what it looks like. Right next to it, we have 8 connectors for the magnetic strip, which I'll talk about later. And finally, at the bottom of the box, we have the actual magnetic strip, and in the package, we receive 4 strips, each measuring 5 meters. As you can see, the accessories for the off-limits module are quite extensive, so I suggest we now focus on installing this small module, as it's also very simple. For the actual installation of the off-limits module, we only need a medium-sized screwdriver and later a pair of scissors for laying the magnetic strip. That's it, nothing more is needed here. Therefore, we can set aside all the accessories for now. For the actual installation of the off-limits module, we need to turn off the robotic mower first and then flip it upside down. In the flipped state, we can already see several slots for Landroid's add-on modules, including one for the off-limits module, as it's not the only one available. There are several other add-on modules for the Landroid, which I can gladly test and introduce to you if there's interest. However, in today's video, we're exclusively focusing on the off-limits module, and it's installed here at the front of the robotic mower, right in front of the steering mechanism. So here we find the slot for the off-limits module with a cross screw on the right and left, which we simply loosen. After removing the cover for the off-limits module, we can see the slot for the add-on module below, along with the small connection cable. As mentioned before, the actual installation is really straightforward, so let's take a look at the connector. You can see that the cable only goes in one direction, which means you can plug the connector into the socket, and that's how the off-limits module is connected. Next, simply insert the off-limits module with the connector facing downwards back into the slot and screw the cover back on. It's important to ensure that the cover of the off-limits module goes on smoothly and doesn't jam the module underneath. Otherwise, the cover may not be properly attached and water may eventually get into the robotic mower. So double check to make sure the cover is securely in place and the new module is installed. This means we can flip the robotic mower back over and turn it on. After the robot is powered up, we give the Landroid a brief moment to recognize the new add-on module. Then let's take a look at the Landroid app. And you'll notice the off-limits logo lit up in orange at the bottom right, indicating that it's correctly installed and recognized by the robot. This means the module is essentially ready for use. What we need to do now is simply install or lay down the magnetic strip. As mentioned before, the package includes 4 rolls of magnetic strip, each measuring 5 meters, so a total of 20 meters of magnetic strip. If you find that's not enough, you can always purchase more, but I believe 20 meters should be sufficient for small plants and bushes. Also, as mentioned before, there are 8 connectors included, which allow you to easily extend the magnetic strip. Now, let's move on to the installation of the boundary wire. No, sorry, of course, it's a magnetic strip with a rubber coating, which is quite flexible. As an example, I'm using this tree trunk, which the robot should definitely not get too close to. That's why we use the magnetic strip. Worx specifies a distance of 32 centimeters between the object or the magnetic strip because the robotic mower drives over the magnetic strip until it realizes, oh, I shouldn't go any further. So approximately 32 meters here, we'll lay the boundary wire around. After doing this, it should look something like this. Ideally, you can use a measuring tape and measure 32 centimeters in each direction. If you're satisfied with the measurements, we'll go to the end of the magnetic strip and trim it with a scissors. The newly created ends can easily be connected using this plastic adapter. Here, you simply push the magnetic strip in and close the flap. And now we've trimmed the magnetic strip and reconnected it so it extends around the object. Another thing you can do if you find that enclosed object, for example, an apple tree, will remain in place for the next months or years, is to secure the magnetic strip to the ground using the ground nails. This is done in the same way as with the actual boundary wire. You place the stakes and hammer them in with a hammer. Alternatively, you can also use the magnetic strip for temporary applications. For example, if I have a trampoline set up outside during the summer, I can simply place the magnetic strip around it and the robotic mower will avoid that area throughout the summer. Then in the winter, when I remove the trampoline, I can also remove the magnetic strip and the robotic mower will mow that area again. This is highly recommended for those who have many trees and bushes scattered in their garden because normally you'd have to outline and bring back all of them with the boundary wire. But with this off-limits module, that's not necessary. I simply cut a piece, place it around the tree or bush, and the robotic mower will mow around it. However, let's take a brief look at how it looks in practice. So let's examine the off-limits module a bit more closely in practice. On one side, we have the Worx Landroid 2.0 robotic mower, and in the middle, we have the sprinkler to protect it from being knocked over. The magnetic strip is placed around the perimeter in conjunction with the off-limits module. Also, as we can see here more or less, the magnetic strip is no longer visible from the outside. It's been integrated into the lawn for quite a while and is blended in nicely. But how does it really look when the robotic mower encounters the magnetic strip directly? Let's test that briefly. I'll activate the robotic mower and let it approach the magnetic strip. As you can see, as soon as the robotic mower detects the magnetic strip, it turns or changes direction and continues in a different path. The robotic mower exhibits the typical behavior it would display when encountering a conventional boundary wire. This works just as well with sprinkler number 2 or with any trees you've planted in the garden. So, for those who have many small objects such as shrubs, bushes, stones, or trees on the lawn where the robotic mower should not drive over, the off-limits module is definitely ideal. Similarly, I can also go a bit overboard with it. It's possible to lay the boundary wire almost freely, meaning I can just scatter it around on the grass and see how the robotic mower reacts. For this purpose, I've now laid the magnetic strip freely on the lawn. The great thing is, I don't need to connect it to any connection points, nor do I have to close the loop completely. I can create a half circle or any shape I want. With the magnetic strip, all of this is easily possible. So, no matter how many meters of magnetic strip you've laid in your garden, the robotic mower will always navigate around it safely. In summary, the off-limits module is the best choice for those who have many small objects like bushes, shrubs, or stones in their garden where the robotic mower should navigate safely, without the need to lay the boundary wire completely around each object and then lead it back and continue to the next object. Instead, simply cut a piece of magnetic strip, place it around the object, and the robotic mower will safely avoid it. And that concludes this short video about the new off-limits module. I hope you liked it. If you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to this channel for free and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. The current prices can be found, as always, in the video description below. Thanks for your support. Take care, and I hope to see you next time. Goodbye.